Call the Liberty Elementary School District Governing Board regular meeting to order. It is 5:30 p.m. on Monday, March 2nd, 2026. We are at the Jerry Robey District Office. We have 5 board members present: Board Member Todd, Member Kenyon, Member Zimmerman, Vice President Cirincione, and myself, Member Schmidt. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice President Cirincione, will you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.3, approval of regular agenda form. We have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the irregular agenda form consistent with Board Policy 1-302 and temporarily suspend governing board policy with which this agenda may be inconsistent.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. A motion and a second. We can take a vote. Member Todd?
Aye.
Member Kenyon?
Aye.
Member Zimmerman?
Aye.
Member Cirincione?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that passed 5-0. We can move on to agenda item 2.1, attendance enrollment reports and school newsletters. Are there any questions from board members about any of these?
Ms. Schmidt.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I always want to be as transparent as possible with the public. And so if you want to pull up the enrollment report, we did gain 50 students this month, which is a great number. So I'm sure we're all relieved to see that number go up. Obviously, we'll need to continue to watch it over time to ensure that trend continues. But certainly that is a great positive for the district this month. If you could pull up the homeroom report now, please. If we could go down to, yes, West Star. Thank you so much. Could you tell us what the MAG class target size is for MAG?
Yes, Member Zimmerman, Madam President, members of the board. So we researched the MAG classes, and it looks to us like the practice has been to try to staff MAG classes at about 18. We found a board presentation that was done in 2024. However, we also could not find any formally adopted board policy or procedures to document that target class size. So administration is seeking board guidance and formal recommendation for the MAG classes.
Okay. Because, as we are, as the district is looking at staffing, obviously having a number, a class size at 12 feels very low, in addition to paying that teacher a $9,000 stipend. For me, that seems quite concerning. And the fact that those students push into regular ed classrooms for a portion of the day as well. So I just think it is something that the board should discuss. But I just was curious when I looked at that number. And so is that 12, because it says the second section, is that the 3-4 class, I assume?
Yeah, so currently we have 12 students in our 3rd, 4th grade MAG class.
Okay.
And we have 21 in our 5th through 8th grade MAG class.
Okay. And I also looked to see if there was board policy or something that had been, and, I didn't find that board presentation. So that's good that you guys found it. But when I was also looking at the SPED class sizes, and again, I'm just trying to make sure that we're adhering to policy. So our SPED class ratios are in policy. It's not just like annually approved. They are in policy 5-211. And the ratio for SPED is 1 to 12. And so there are quite a few, not quite a few, there are 3 over, and not by a lot, but certainly I think it's important that we keep that in mind when we're looking at the ratios and the staffing for next year, because we know our SPED population is, are one of our most vulnerable, and we want to make sure that, 1, we're following policy, obviously, but 2, giving them, what they need, and legally, essentially what they're entitled to. I think that's all I had for this agenda item. Thank you.
Madam President, if I may.
Yes, please.
On this same token, we have a SPED class for every district, correct? Or for every campus?
That's correct.
Okay. But the district as a whole only has 1 MAG class, correct?
Correct. Well, 2 classes, 1 location, Westar.
Thank you. So I know of kids who make that trip up the hill from through all over the district. And so just kind of want to highlight that for transparency. Every campus has a SPED class. However, there's only 1 MAG class in the whole district. Thank you.
I just want to clarify that not every campus has a SPED self-contained. Every campus has a resource, but not every campus has SPED self-contained. Those are 2 different things. So the ratio that I was referring to was SPED self-contained.
Any other comments or questions about this agenda item? All right, then we can move on to item 2.2, the monthly budget report for February 2026. I will hand over. Ms. Williams, are you in charge of us today? I said, are you in charge today for the budget report?
I believe you're referring to the breakdown. Is that the one we're referring to?
Yeah, 2.2, the spreadsheet, the Excel doc.
Do you have any questions about it? It's just a continuation from adding the next month on.
Yep. Are there questions?
I just had one.
Go.
For the classroom site fund, excuse me. So what we have left to pay teachers for this year should be what that encumbered number is. Is that a correct statement?
No, I believe that we have not encumbered the June and the August money.
Okay, so
Check that.
okay, but the August would be the following fiscal year.
But we pay it out of this year.
Oh, okay.
Because we can pay anything in June, July, and August in this current year if it's encumbered. And then we start next year with the July forward.
Oh.
So we're crossing the fiscal year because it's money they've earned this year.
Okay. So, I thought that basically we encumbered everything that we knew we were going to pay to help us know where we're going to end up. So,
I need to verify that the way the payroll runs, whether they've implemented or put in all of those stipends yet.
okay. So do you think like the M&O and like salaries encumbered that?
M&O is encumbered. We run that encumbrance every other week,
Okay.
but
The classroom site fund.
that one I'm not sure of because it's a stipend separate from the regular payrolls.
Okay. And did you find out if based on the last study session, if we have encumbered those open district positions?
There are the superintendent and some of the higher ones are not. There's a few of the people who have physically left this current year. The remainder of theirs is encumbered, but if they were never hired this year, then no, they were not.
So like the superintendent, the director of finance, and the assistant superintendent of ed services?
are not, because they don't have anyone in them currently.
Okay, so then when you did the budget numbers and kind of moved things over, were those positions not part of that?
No, I did not add them back in because you haven't given me permission to move them back in. Even though I know we will, I haven't actually added them back in
Okay, so it would be my request
to put them back in.
to put them back in because I feel like we need to have an accurate number, especially when we get to the budget.
Okay, but that's going to throw off our encumbrances by that amount because they'll be encumbered this year and we won't physically pay them out this year. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but I feel like this is supposed to help us know like where we would be. And at any moment, right, we could hire the director of finance and the assistant superintendent of ed services and potentially the superintendent if they wanted to start earlier. I don't know. I'm just, I'm playing hypotheticals, right? But I think we use this for future planning and those are huge numbers, and I think it's going to really affect the budget and what we need to cut even more than what you already told us.
Yeah. Let me work with payroll and see how that will affect our encumbrances for the year and get back to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions about the budget sheet? All right, moving on to item 3.1, governing board update on district-related activities participated in and current events. Member Todd, would you like to go first?
Sure, thank you. I had the great honor again of attending the district-wide Festival of the Arts art showcase over at Stray last week. It continues to be a great event. Every year I leave there thinking it won't be as good next year. It can't be as good, and then it is better. So kudos to the entire district, everybody that works in that. I know that takes a village to put together, and it's just fantastic. There's not a single piece of artwork that's on display that doesn't register on a high scale, from the younger grades all the way to the upper grades. So it's just a fantastic event. So many people well attended. It was great. The other thing, today was kind of an exciting day. We kicked off National Read a Book Week, and I received a inquiry from Las Brisas campus about a week and a half ago asking if I'd come out and read, if I could think of anybody else, and I had the great honor of inviting Goodyear Mayor Joe Pizzillo, Goodyear Police Chief Brian Issett, and Major League Baseball umpires Gabe Morales and Malachi Moore all came out to Las Brisas today to read, so it was pretty cool to see the kids being read to by these folks. They were all in line to get autographs from the umpires. There's only 76 Major League Baseball umpires in the world, and we had 2 of them at our campus today. Not only did they read, but they talked to kids about leadership and the ability to be one of those 1 in 76 in anything that they want to do. So it was a great event. I can't thank all very good friends of mine, the mayor. Chief Issett is relatively still new at the Goodyear Police Department, and he's just really doing great things and wants to be a big partner to our district. Not only was he there, but he had 3 of his officers out reading, and they're coming back throughout the rest of the week to read. So really huge thanks to the Goodyear Police Department, again, Major League Baseball and Mayor Pizzillo. Couldn't ask for a better kickoff to that event. So I'll conclude my report.
Board Member Kenyon.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a lot on this report other than, as everybody knows, there's a conflict in the Middle East. And you would ask, why am I bringing that up? Well, I'm bringing it up because we actually have parents that are over there right now in our district. And so I just wanted to let them know, and those kids who are dealing with those spouses, that our thoughts and prayers are with you, and hope everything turns out good.
Board Member Zimmerman.
Thank you very much. I also was able to attend the district-wide Festival of the Arts, and it really is an incredible display of our schools really coming together. It is our only district-wide event all year long. And so it's a really special event that really, gives us opportunity to showcase our kids and super impressed with the art and the musicals that were previewed. I like wrote some of the dates down because we have some really talented singers in our district. And so it was just really a fun night to be a part of and be able to talk to parents and to staff. And, you know, I just want to thank Estrella for hosting it. I think it's their 4th year hosting, which, you know, is an undertaking in itself. But, you know, every Champs teacher that, you know, dedicated their time really all year to prepare kids to, you know, be able to participate in this event. I just want to remind our community and our staff that tomorrow evening we will have a meet and greet with our finalists for the superintendent position. So I would encourage everybody to come out and have the opportunity to meet the 3 finalists and share your feedback with the board, because there is no more important decision that this board is going to make. So I certainly welcome your feedback and wish to represent your voice in this process. Thank you.
Member Cirincione.
Yes, I was able to make it out to West Stars Festival. It was amazing. It was a great turnout. Tons of community members were there. It was nice to see the support from the community, because I think the PTO had a lot of support outside of the school, because I don't think there was a lot of teachers actually running it. I think there's a lot of volunteers, so the teachers could actually focus on attending it and being out in the community. So that was really cool to see. And it was a great turnout. Tons of families running around. That's all I have for this week.
Thank you. I also attended the Festival of the Arts last week. As everybody said, it was a great turnout. It was a great time. I enjoyed getting a chance to talk to some of our principals and teachers and family members, and listen to the amazing singers and performers that we have in the district. I also put dates in my calendar already to mark off weekends to go see shows. And it was just a really great showing for everyone. The band sounded great too. If you made it into that room to listen to them, seeing them all come together when they only get to practice together one time, is amazing. It's such a feat, and it just shows how dedicated the teachers are to get them ready for that. So that was a great time. Glad to see so many people there. It was warm, but better warm than raining, I guess. So yay for us for that. And then just to echo what Board Member Zimmerman said, I hope to see, well, I won't be here, but I hope all of you are here tomorrow evening to meet the candidates for the superintendent and get to talk to them and see what you all think, and then provide feedback to us before we make a decision. And that is it for board updates this evening. We move on to item 4.1. Call to the public, and Vice President Cirincione.
Madam President, we have 4 speakers tonight. First is Ms. Canan.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Megan Canan, and I'm a parent in this district. I previously spoke to you about concerns regarding leadership, communication, transparency, and accountability. Tonight, I want to clarify something that has been mischaracterized, the issue of trust. And I want to be very clear that when I say it, I mean community. When I say community, I mean parents, staff, and family together. When I spoke about trust, I was not advocating for blind trust. Trust does not mean ignoring red flags or silencing questions. It means educating yourself on policies and procedures, asking thoughtful questions, and then placing confidence in individuals who have years of professional experience and a proven record of ethical leadership. Informed trust is healthy, blind trust is not. But trust must also be applied intentionally between administration and staff. When serious matters arise, especially terminations or disciplinary issues, due process is essential. Both parties deserve fairness, transparency, and the opportunity to be heard. No one should be able to use a superior position to intimidate, pressure, or overpower someone. When staff feels vulnerable, unsupported, or fearful of retaliation, that impacts the entire school community, including students and families. We continue to hear statements about rebuilding trust, and increasing community involvement. Yet when parents and staff show up, document concerns, and speak respectfully, they are dismissed as just a group of crazy, unhappy parents. That language minimizes not only parents, but also the educators and support staff who share similar concerns, but may feel unable to speak publicly. And then we wonder why surveys are not completed. Engagement declines when people feel unheard. Participation declines when people fear retaliation. Many families and staff members have expressed concern that speaking up could negatively affect their children or their employment. That is not a culture of trust. That is a culture of fear. As the consulting firm described using words from an interview, this has become a community of survivors. That includes parents, staff, and families who feel they have endured inconsistent communication, dismissiveness, and a lack of meaningful responses to concerns. If rebuilding trust is truly the goal, then it requires accountability, transparency, and leadership that restores confidence rather than deepen division. At this time, I do not believe that can happen under the current leadership. Thank you.
Next is Ms. Wright.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Wright, and with renewed interest in the bus grant, I wanted to share an email I got in a recent FOIA. It was written by Dr. Court Monroe on January 10th, 2024. The excerpt states, "We are going through budgeting currently, lost the bond, had a slight enrollment dip, and do not even have enough funds to build school number 8 and the transportation complex. And out of the blue, there's a great opportunity that no one knows about that could cost us up to $1.5 million with the electric buses that are still not commonplace for most districts. Can we get a lower price by shopping around? Do we have to go with RWC? Can we buy less than 13? Who agreed to this? Why was I not told about this? Do we even have the money for infrastructure as part of the transportation complex to handle this? APS considerations, lots of questions. The optics don't look good, or the optics also look off to me that we do not even have enough money from the last bond to build new buildings, offices, a shop for transportation. For now, they will still work in their current locations, but we are going to potentially have some new cutting edge electric buses in the yard that we are using." Before any of us parents came to this podium, we went to Dr. Monroe directly. We met with him in every capacity that he would allow. Formal meetings, informal conversations, emails, even catching him in the school parking lot just to get answers. We tried to handle this the right way. Dr. Monroe often said he loved involved parents, until those parents started asking hard questions. We asked about the need for a new school during declining enrollment. We asked about electric buses, infrastructure, maintenance costs, and long-term financial impacts. Each time we were told to trust the plan. It wasn't just Dr. Monroe. Current and former board members stood beside him at every coffee with the superintendent, every board meeting, and you publicly supported every word he spoke. The reassurances didn't come from one person, they came from this board. Now we know there were serious internal concerns about funding and sustainability. We didn't have the enrollment or resources to justify a new school, nor the funds to pay half of the new electric bus grant. He knew the optics were bad, which is why all he had left was to tell us to trust the plan. The very plan that has put this district in the position we're in today. You all knew the position we were in and continued to ignore our concerns as parents. As you move forward in selecting a new superintendent, it's critical that they understand what this community has gone through, the transparency that is expected, and that this community will never again blindly trust the plan. We weren't being difficult, we were being responsible, and from now on, we deserve honesty.
Next up is Mr. Candelaria.
Good evening, board members and everybody in attendance. My name is Wiumpiu Candelaria. I'm a current coach at Rainbow Valley Elementary School. I have 2 boys that have promoted from there and 1 7th grader that is still attending. I know it's been a common theme for sports that our fields are in need of help. And I feel that we keep trying to resolve the problem with minor, Band-Aids. So I'm here to present to you a machine that I've worked with. I have over 14 years of pest control knowledge. And we use it for, when I did work pest control, we used it for Scottsdale Community College, their baseball fields there, football fields. It's a tremendous machine. It would be able to be maneuvered between all the schools in the district. And I think it would be a great thing for us to invest in to make our facilities more safer for our players. Currently, right now at Rainbow, our soccer teams are not able to have any home games. And congratulations to our boys soccer team who won the championship this year. Also, I don't get to attend a lot of meetings. I work late and I also coach. So sometimes the meetings are at the same time. And I don't know if the topic ever came back up, but I know you guys sent out a survey about flag football. I have tons of kids asking about that and pushing heavily. Reason why I'm here today is because they said, hey, you said you were going to go. You haven't gone. So our season just ended. So I just wanted to ask if there was any update on that survey that went out. Maybe you guys already talked about it and I missed it, but if you guys can maybe touch on that topic again, I'd appreciate it. And also I have a folder of the machine if you guys would like me to leave it here for you guys so you guys can look at. Thank you.
Next is Ms. Wold.
Good evening. I'm Suzanne Wold. I'm a resident of the Liberty Elementary School District. And this is a pivotal week for all of us in Liberty Elementary. You board members are interviewing superintendent candidates tomorrow, and the public is invited to a meet and greet afterwards. I have to say, I'm disappointed that the interviews won't be open to the public. It would have been an opportunity for openness, transparency, and trust building, which were not parts of the hiring of the two previous superintendents. In contrast, what seems like a million years ago, the final interviews for candidates when we hired Dr. Schuff were open to the public. And I have to say, as an audience member, there was unanimous consent among us that she was far and away the best candidate for the job. And we were afraid that the bickering board would not hire her. And boy, were we surprised and pleased and grateful. At that time, a contentious board made the choice to hire the person who was the best one to lead our district. And it was a gift for all of us. So as a group, you will be making a choice that will have long-term effects on our students, administrators, staff, families, and communities, as well as the economic health of our district. We urge you to choose well. This is your opportunity to make a choice that is best for our district, everybody who attends our schools and the families and staff, and the community. It's also an opportunity for you to restore the trust of employees, families, and community. There's a lot of heavy lifting ahead for the person that you hire, including the possibility of an override campaign for November. The last bond campaign failed shortly after the installment of a new superintendent. Who knows why? It's a mystery. The person you hire this week will need to be capable of quickly restoring the trust of the voting community, and I mean very, very quickly, if the board decides to go out for an override. Thanks much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, Madam
Yeah.
President. Just a quick comment. Can we ask administration to follow up on the pest control machine and let the board know about that, and then also the flag football? And-
Yeah. Mr. Young, you got the papers, right?
We will. Thank you.
Yes. All right, thank you. We can move on to consent agenda 5.1, approval of consent agenda. Are any items to pull?
Can we pull 5.3 and 5.4, please?
Anything else? All right. Somebody like to make a motion?
I motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5.3 and 5.4.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of 5.3 and 5.4. We can take a vote. Member Todd,
Aye.
Member Kenyon,
Aye.
Member Zimmerman,
Aye.
Member Cirincione.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that passed 5-0. And we can move to item 5.3, approval ratification of expense vouchers 2628, 2629, 2630, and 2631 in the amount of $1,291,149.79. Ms. Zimmerman, what would you like to discuss?
So these are the expense vouchers from last month that we did not pass. I just want to be clear. I'm still concerned in 2629 that there is an expense, and I have told administration what my concerns were, but due to the legal concern, I'm not going to discuss it publicly. But I'm still concerned that we are approving something that happened in a prior fiscal year. I just don't believe it should be in this voucher. And so as we saw at the last meeting, we approved things that happened in a prior fiscal year in a separate agenda item. So I'm just pulling it out so that it can be voted on separately.
Any other comments? Or any comment from administration about the prior fiscal year, pulling it out separately?
Madam President, members of the board, I do not. Ms. Williams, do you have any problem with that? Okay. Just as a comment, it has been paid, so we just need to move forward with acknowledging that payment.
Madam President,
Yes, go ahead.
if there's a legal concerned issue, what has legal said about it?
I guess I should specify that it involved legal, you know what I mean? It was a legal issue. And so I don't think it's appropriate for me to necessarily, I mean, anybody can look at it. So, but I'm just not going to discuss it right here publicly, but I'm just saying it's in voucher 2629.
I understand that. My question still is, if there's concerns about it, have we had a legal opinion on it? And secondly, it's very hard to just guess. Thankfully, I can't get into your mind and figure out what you're thinking. But I'm at a loss here as what the concerns are. I may look at it and see it as some concerns in one direction. You may see it in something different, but it's really hard to read your mind and understand that. So I would think that this would be surfaced from the board president to legal to get clarification and have your concerns answered appropriately so that the board has legal advice.
I just want to be clear too that I have shared it with district administration and the, specific voucher number. And, I have been very specific to administration. So I'm not trying to have anybody guess what's in my mind.
Right, but that hasn't been conveyed to us because that would be open meeting issue, so it needs to go to legal and probably have an executive session or some legal clarification.
Madam President,
Yes, please, go ahead.
Ms. Williams, are you familiar with what Ms. Zimmerman's talking about? Okay. Is there any issues that you can see arise if we approve this tonight?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that being said, would anybody like to make a motion, or do we have other discussion that needs to happen?
I'll make a motion to approve ratify expense vouchers 2628, 2629, 2630, and 2631 in the amount of $1,291,149.79.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We can take a vote. Member Todd,
Aye.
Member Kenyon,
Aye.
Member Zimmerman,
Nay.
Member Cirincione.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that passed 4-1. Right, moving on to item 5.4, approval ratification of expense vouchers 2632, 2633, and 2634 in the amount of $1,303,267.18. Ms. Zimmerman,
Thank you. If we could pull up voucher 2632 and go to page 11, please. It's at the bottom of page 11. It's actually Bank of America, but it's in regards to Verigy. So, Mr. Young, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this would now be like our second like payment with Verigy. Would that be correct?
I think we've had more than.
Oh, okay. So, as I recall from that presentation, you know, we are supposed to see like a yearly, savings, I guess, right? We pay this up front, and then, when they presented to us, they promised us like, we're going to get the money. If we don't reach that potential savings, they're going to like refund us, essentially, is what they said. So how is that all tracked and managed and all of that to ensure that, we hold them accountable for the savings they promised us?
Madam President, members of the board, Ms. Zimmerman, they haven't finished the project yet. They're still working on some of it. So they have to finish the entire project before they can start the measurement and verification process. So we are actually seeing some savings because of some of the things that are in process, but the actual measurement and verification will not start taking place until the project's completed in full. They're about wrapping it up now. They're a little bit of energy management system left that they're doing over at Liberty, and finishing up some wiring on the solar arrays at the different schools. But other than that, everything else is pretty much wrapped up. The new air conditioning units in, the water fixtures are in. So we keep in touch. We have weekly meetings with them, and we want to make sure that everything's going the way it's supposed to. One of the ways that I've been kind of looking at it is the AES defined reports that I put on the board updates. He shows you the savings that we're seeing in the district overall, not just because of the Verigy, but he reports on the whole, how we're managing our energy for the whole district. So we can see the savings on that. We can see where our usage is down, but sometimes the costs are up because APS is raising the cost. So, and then once that's in place and the measurement verification by Verigy, that'll be an annual meeting. They'll say, okay, we're supposed to save this much. Either we did or we didn't. If we didn't, they'll pay the difference of what we were supposed to save to what we actually use. So.
Okay. And so you think, I apologize, that annual meeting will occur once, like a year from the project completion? Is that what you anticipate?
Yeah, we'll have some just to monitor it to see where we are, what's going on. But the actual verification meeting that will say, yeah, you did save it, will be an annual once a year.
And so I assume there'll be some sort of baseline that they'll take. Okay.
Yeah, they measured that before they started where we were at. This is what we're going to save.
Okay.
And, that's the guaranteed saving.
Right. Okay.
And so once that's in place and everything's up and running the way it's supposed to, and then we'll measure that yearly and they'll see if we're actually hitting that.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam President, real quick,
yep, go ahead.
I just would like to caution the board and try not to use expense vouchers, which are talking about specific payments, to divert to getting off topic, because we can get very quickly into something that's not on the agenda and be an open meeting violation.
If we could go to voucher 2634, page 9. This is also at the bottom of page 9. It looked like some consulting for SPED. I was just wondering, will this be like an ongoing expense, or was this a one-time consulting expense?
Member Zimmerman, Madam President, members of the board, I wouldn't say it was either one. This expense did come from the special services for consulting, for coaching, compliance training, and also to fill vacancies needed for behavior support and whatnot. We have several vacancies in the special services department. So this was for that. In addition, if there are further needs for trainings, coaching, compliance-related services, we may again ask them for some consultant work in the future.
Okay, so is this for consulting, or is this for filling a position?
I am going to ask Dr. Abila to approach the consulting. Okay, consulting.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Any other further questions about these? Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 5.4.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve 5.4 and a second. Can take a vote. Member Todd,
Aye.
Member Kenyon, Members Zimmerman,
Aye.
Member Cirincione.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that passed 5-0. We can move on to general business. 6.1, discussion approval of contract language of notice of appointments for FY 26-27. Ms. May.
Yeah, Madam President, members of the board, so you have several contracts there. This is in continuation from the last board meeting. We said we'd bring back the administration contract with the liquidated damages and the removal of the membership fees. In addition, we did not have at that time, so including today, the professional employment contract, which is for related services, mostly in the special education department. For example, PT, OT, SLPs. In addition, any exempt classified would fall under that category as well. Then we have the psychologist contract and the assistant superintendent contract.
All right, thank you. Any questions about the contract that are before us, the language?
I have a couple general questions before I think, the board, the administrator contract, the liquidated damage number is blank, so the board will need to discuss that. But so the administrator contract, would that be also not just for principals, but this would be for vice principals, this would be for the director of school improvement, like those, the other ed services, director of assessment, would those fall under the administrator contract?
Member Zimmerman, yes, that is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. And then, so any classified that's hourly would be an at-will contract that we approved last time, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then the classified that are salaried would get the professional contract.
That is correct.
Okay. So just so that, when the board discusses liquidated damages for the administrator, it also has been added for the professional contract as well as the psychologist, but not the assistant soup contract. So I just want us to be transparent in what we're doing. I'm not sure that I'm in agreement in the assistant soup. apologize.
It is in there.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank
Mr.
you,
Kenyon
Member
is correct.
Kenyon.
I do apologize for that. Sorry. I'm not sure. I think that we should have liquidated damages for the professional employment contract and the psychologist. A lot of those positions are super hard to fill. Psychologists, for sure, we can see we only have 2 currently, and those related services. Because let's be honest, they can go work in a hospital setting and make a lot more money than they can here. So I certainly wouldn't want to do anything to deter them from coming to us. And in fairness, we can contract those people. So if we're talking about being able to fill those positions, we can, right? Versus a teacher or administrator is a little bit different. That would be what I would like to see, is to remove it from the professional and the psychologist contract. And then as the board begins their discussion for the amount, after I appreciate what you guys provided to us about what the surrounding districts do. And I think we had talked about, the number we had thrown around was doubling it, which would be 3,000. And that seemed like that would be on the high or highest side. So again, we don't want to deter anybody, I think, at this point from coming to us. So I would be okay with the 2,500, which is what our teachers used to be. Last year we lowered it, which I think was appropriate. So that would be what I'd like to see, but obviously it will be the will of the board.
Member Zimmerman, if I could just comment on the psychologist-related services professional contract. Remember, there is a clause in there that administration can waive the liquidated damages. So in the event that there is, reasonable cause, or to your point about we just need to make sure that we, have quality people and don't want to detour, we always have that ability.
Madam President, if I may.
Go ahead.
So recalling past, we've had a lot of conversation about liquidated damages over a long time. And we had discussed on, I understand Board Member Zimmerman's point on hard to fill positions. However, it's very detrimental to these children when somebody who they know and worked with for a while just up and leaves. And as Ms. May just stated and restated, that there are exemptions for certain circumstances, and that's also been discussed. I think that it ought to just remain in these 4 different contracts. However, as the board will, I'm okay with the 2,500 for the liquidated damages for the administrator contract and superintendent assistant sup contract, or the 3,000. I will say whatever we decide in the administrator contract or the assistant superintendent contract for the amount. I would advise that we bring the psychologist liquidated damages to match those, because it's currently 3,000 in that one. So if we say assistant superintendent is 25, administrator is 25, psychologist should probably be 25 as well, and brought down and not be more.
Madam President.
Yes, go ahead.
So I understand the concern about hard to fill positions, but the opposite of that would be it's more critical to hold on to those people and make them think twice before they leave the district, which makes me think that the board should give some consideration to continue with liquidated damages there. However, as we talk about liquidated damages, we've done a set price, whatever that number has been over the years. But I'm not sure that that's the best way to go moving forward. I think it should be something along the line of a percentage or 2 weeks of gross salary, because a new teacher that leaves having to pay out whatever number it is might be more difficult on them than it is a senior teacher who's been here for 17 or 18 years that's making considerably more money. So I'd like to see the district look at maybe to standardize it, just say it's 2 weeks of gross pay, or a percentage of annual salary, and then it's equal across the board for everybody. With that, I do feel that superintendents and administrators should pay a higher fee if they choose to leave. Those are harder positions to fill, as we've learned. But again, I think we need to make it a little more fair.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes, please go ahead.
Well, we already approved the teacher contract, so that, we already have 1,500. So if the board wants to have liquidated damages for the professional and the psychologist contract, I could support the same as the teachers, and then the administrator and the assistant superintendent contract being more, just because they make more. If we could just pull up the assistant soup contract, there was just one thing, I apologize. Under other approved benefits, sorry, I didn't write down the page. 3, it lists out, how they accrue sick days and things like that, which I don't believe is listed for the administrator. I just wonder if we make sure, though, that it says like in accordance with governing board policies, because one of the things that we did change when we did policy this past, or a year ago this spring, was that if they do not complete a full calendar year, they do not get paid out for their vacation. And so I just want to make sure that, we're being clear, I guess, to our employees that we did, because we had administrators that left in the middle of the year and it was their first year, and then they got all their vacation paid out. So we did change that in policy. So I don't know if we could just add something to D that says, in accordance with governing board policy. I apologize. I probably should have looked up the exact policy, but I can look for it.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
have the teacher contracts been presented to teachers yet?
Member Todd, no, they have not.
So we could bring that back up for a reconsideration at our meeting on Thursday, and then talk about a percentage. And we would, by rule, would have to put that on the agenda if it's requested to be reconsidered by a board member. Which I will request. I can do it now, or I can do it at the end of the meeting, whatever the president prefers, but I request that we reconsider that.
I will make a note of your request, but if you could also do it at the end so that we have it officially,
Yep.
That would be good. Thank you. Do we have any other discussion around these contracts? Does anybody want to motion anything at
Make a
this
motion.
point? Yep, go ahead.
I'd like
Sorry.
to make a motion that we table this until Thursday's meeting, when we can reconsider our teacher contracts so we can bring them all in line together.
All right, we have a motion to table this. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we can take a vote to table this item until Thursday. Member Todd,
Aye.
Member Kenyon,
Aye.
Member Zimmerman,
Nay.
Member Cirancione.
Nay.
I am also a nay, so we will show that that failed.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, please go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the contract language for administrators and assistant superintendent with liquidated damages at $2,500, and the professional employment contract and psychologist contract with $1,500 at liquidated damages.
Yes, Ms. Camerata.
Zimmerman, will you please? Motion to approve contract language for administrators and assistant superintendent with liquidated damages at $2,500 and the professional contract and psychologist contract.
At $1,500 for liquidated damages.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Take a vote. Member Todd,
Aye.
Member Kenyon,
Aye.
Member Zimmerman,
Aye.
Vice President Cirincione.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that passed 5-0. Okay, moving on to item 6.2, signature program update at Loretta Zembro with Bruce Niemitzky presenting.
Thank you very much, Governing Board. I'm going to zoom ahead to, you have seen all of these slides with the exception of the last four. Which button am I supposed to be hitting? The top one. Am I doing it right? Which one? Now I can do it. All right, this is awesome. About a month ago, I was able to speak to you about a proposed program for the Loretta Zembro Signature Program entitled ZEAL. ZEAL standing for Zembro Engineering and Aerospace Learning. When I brought that to you, several governing board members, and I'm grateful for this, had asked about feedback that had been received by our community members, input that had been received by our community members. We did have 2 parent forums. I expressed to the governing board that we had low attendance and was challenged by several of you to go back and try it 3rd time. And I needed that. And what I needed to do in addition to getting the motor running for a 3rd parent meeting is to reflect a little bit on how we could bring in more people, do something different. And I went home, looked in the mirror and said, what can we do differently to bring in our community? And right away, we realized that rather than just inviting parents, we needed to invite families. Many of our families at that time and that afternoon are transitioning from one workplace to the other. Kids are transitioning from school to an activity. It's a cluttered time of day. Asking just a single parent or a mom and a dad to leave their kids at home to come to a meeting, challenging, and I realized that. So we were very adamant that all families would be invited to our Parent Forum 3. We went ahead and provided a meal for them as well, knowing that the time was 4:30 to 5:30. We wanted to make sure that if meals were going to be a hindrance to parents coming in, that we knew that we had that provided for them. So we did that. We also had additional points of contact, touch points of contact with each of our families, not just the standard letter that goes out through a blast. I personally emailed every single one of our families in the school by grade level and said, we'd really like to have you, and explained why we needed to have parent input. And the good news is we had this meeting last week. I'm going to skip through, and we had 46 total in attendance, which I was not expecting. I was thrilled by that number. We had about 25 or 30 that had RSVP'd. So we were looking to have a pretty good sized group, and they just kept coming and coming and coming. And it wasn't just the numbers, obviously, that were overwhelming to us. It was the high level of feedback that we received from families. I'm going to share that with you shortly. And suggestions about enhancing the program. We took them through the entire presentation that you have seen, talked about the survey information that we'd received back, talked about how parents were looking for something, teachers were looking for something, students were looking for something, and how could we integrate those three? As we went through all of the ideas, it resonated with our families. They were excited. Engineering kept coming up over and over again. This is great. I've got connections for you. Can I tell you about this person? So all of a sudden, the feedback came, and it was hard to contain. What did my heart a little bit better than that was we had several children who raised their hands, current Zumbro students who raised their hands, and they offered suggestions as well that were completely worthwhile. So inviting them in, changing some of the parameters about what that meeting looked like made all the difference for us now and moving forward as well. Several stakeholder ideas that came from people that attended, both parents and children, to enhance what we want to do with our ZEAL program was to build in incentives such as badges, awards, achievements, things that we could do throughout the middle of the year for students who were advancing along a path, and certificates and awards that we could offer our students at end of trimester assemblies and at the end of the year for the best engineering student of the grade level or the most unique engineering student of the grade level, those types of things. Make it something that's relevant that gets kids excited. My kids play games at home and they love getting badges and awards and achievements. So can we integrate that into a signature program? That was a wonderful suggestion. A program that can be built on vertically. And when I asked what that meant, they want a program, our community is asking for a program that is going to launch the students when they're out of 8th grade and going to the high schools successfully into the high schools in this area so that that learning curve, that difficult transition from 8th grade to 9th grade won't be as difficult, and that our students will have a leg up on those scientific, engineering, and STEM programs in the high schools. And can we, as a school, find some time to work with Yunker, to work with Estrella Foothills, to work with Goodyear, as some of our students may be going there, to say, hey, this is our signature program. What input can you give us as a 9 through 12 institution to help us make this more robust so that our kids, when they graduate 8th grade, are coming to you and they're coming to you prepared? Feedback gave us the idea that program needed to be differentiated, and it needed to be differentiated for different learners. Again, we have high achieving learners, we have our average learners, and we have our learners that struggle. How can I create a program, an activity of program? How can we gain resources for a program that tackles the high achievers in that room, the ones we need to extend, but also gives the students who are at a lower ability the chance to succeed? So there was a big push for differentiation. Creating set time in the schedule. We have some tentative time set in the schedule, but how is that going to look at each grade level? What are we going to have to take out or sacrifice to build in some time, maybe not daily, but weekly, for our signature program? We don't want to cut minutes from ELA. We don't want to cut minutes from math or the core subjects. So how can we get creative on that schedule so there is a set time in the schedule, whether it's every day or every week? Had a lot of people saying, have you reached out to Palo Verde? No. Have you reached out to Embry-Riddle, which I did not even know about Embry-Riddle until someone mentioned. Do you know about Southwest? And they do Adopt a Pilot. All sorts of ideas coming from all over the room to say, hey, these are connections that if you go this route and create this program as a school, these are some connections and networking opportunities that are available right for you. And that's important. If you remember, we talked about the need to self-sustain this program over time. The more people we can come in contact with that can provide us free resources, free speakers, that's what we're looking for. And then extension clubs. I had some parents who said, okay, this is a program for the school day. Is there any part of this or parts of this that can be taken outside the school day and turned into an after-school club? And then the brain just started matriculating, and everyone said, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it was exciting to see. But I'm a firm believer that yes, as our signature program is set, we can get trapped into the thinking of this is a 7:20 a.m. to 3 p.m. thing that we have to do as part of our curriculum. And it can be, but can also be taken and extended with supervisors and with parent volunteers and with organizers to say, hey, you guys are really interested in, I'm just going to throw Legos out. Not saying we're going to have a Lego club, but you guys are really interested in Legos and building and coming up with these things. Maybe we form a Lego club every 2 or 3 weeks and we have you come in and we extend what that signature program look like. Maybe we're able to get a speaker from the aviation industry, and maybe they can't come in during the day, but they can come in for a parent night and to bring in families again. Those are the types of things we want to do with our signature program, is take it outside the regular school day and enhance it. These were just some pictures. We met in our makerspace room. As you can see, we were pretty crowded. We went through the program and gotten lots of feedback. I had about 8 to 10 staff members that were there. I'm grateful for them. Many parents and many children were there as well. Just wanted to give you a snapshot of what it looked like. And I will not read all the names, but we did take a kind of a roster just to see and make sure that everyone that was there was memorialized that they had come. So these are the lists of all of our families, teachers, students, and individuals that were able to make it. You won't count 46 because some of those 46 don't know how to write yet. We're getting there. And some of them forgot to sign, but I did a head count and had somebody that I trust do a head count, and we were at 46. So we had a great parent night. Again, I am grateful to the board for suggesting that, for kind of that, hey, just keep going at it, see what you can get. We still like the core of our program. We've got some enhancements and some ideas now from the community that we'd like to move forward. One question that did come up at the last session was the pricing. I remember stating that we had about a $7,200 to $7,500 quote. I don't have the exact number in front of me, that would allow for full integration of Define Learning as a program for 1 year and would provide us 2 hours of professional development. The question I believe Board Member Zimmerman, you asked, was that separate component of computer science and engineering, can that be purchased separately? The answer is yes, it can be purchased. The quote on that we received was $2,500, also needing a $1,500 for virtual PD. So we're looking at about $4,000 if we just do kind of the scaled back version, which I've been assured by Define Learning would meet our needs. So those are the presentation that I have tonight, in addition to what I presented last month. And again, open for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Nowinski. Any questions from board members?
Madam President.
Yes, please go ahead.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for reaching out to the families again. That's outside the box thinking. That reminded me of a quote, if you feed them, they will come. It's good to see the turnout, and thank you for those pictures as well and the feedback. Since the beginning, I've loved the direction of this program, and I'm very excited to see it go and all the ideas that you come, and just knowing you a little bit and knowing how much passion you have for Zumbro and for this school and for those kids and those families. I know you're going to do great things with this, so thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Schmidt.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I think, I'm grateful that, you had you went back out and had a better turnout. I think, it just helps solidify, what you were thinking, and that we feel like our community is involved in that decision. I personally love the idea of trying to build the gap with the high schools. I just, having a kid go to high school this year and one coming up, I just think that gap is, if we can try to fill that in different ways, I just really think those partnerships are important. I know the principal at Goodyear High School, and so I'm sure he's very open. He's a great guy. So,
Thank you.
yeah, I think, it's hard, when we talk about money, just because the board has not done the budget, right? And I know the board has had a discussion about costs of signature programs, and, we really haven't come to a consensus about, are we going to give a certain amount to each school, and everybody seems to kind of be doing something different. And so I think that's hard, right? But I appreciate you reaching back out and, just trying to get exactly what you're looking for and not paying, if the board approves to move forward with the budget part of it, not paying for something you're not necessarily going to use.
Yeah, Define Learning is a very encompassing program, but there are some things that would be fluff to our signature program that we could probably go by. And we had an honest conversation with them, and they agreed. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank you for looking into the sections that you need for the Define Learning, because that is a pretty significant cost savings. So if it is really fluff and extra and we don't need that, that'd be great. I personally love this idea because this is right in my own heart, my science loving heart. And And when you were talking about I wrote a note to myself because you were talking about enhancements and after school. There's a Lego First League robotics club that's for 5th through 8th graders where they code robotics machines and then they go and get to like do tasks with them and get points, and it's a whole big thing. We can talk. I have an inside track on that.
Love that.
But it as you were talking, I'm like, exactly. And that's extending it outside of the day. It's an additional, thing that they could do, but it is fully in line with the academic piece of it. They're learning coding, they're building their own machines, they're learning all of these things that you can relate right back into the classroom again. So there are lots of things like that are out there. So I love this idea. I think that students will love this idea.
Yes.
And there's so many places that you can go within. Even when you're picking like aerospace and engineering, there's still so much room for growth and learning in there. And it's interesting. It's fun. You're talking about planes and like rockets and things, and kids love that stuff. So adults love that stuff. Let's be honest. So I think it's a great idea. And I do appreciate that you tried again and you got all the parents out. And like we talked about this last week when I saw you, but I mean, it's like college. If you offer pizza, you're probably going to get some people to come in. And, we have to meet people where they are and realize that asking them to skip dinner time with their children is a hard thing. And so offering them something to help them is getting them to come. We do what we have to. I appreciate that you did that. Thank you.
Madam President? Sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
One last
Please.
kind of comment. I know right now there's been a lot of talk about we shouldn't have even built this school. And I've been driving quite a bit in that part of the district, and it is amazing to see the acres, hundreds of acres that are under development, lots and lots and lots of houses going up. And so the foresight of previous administration and board to see that the need was there, and now we're recognizing it. You look just north of the campus. I encourage anybody who has a problem with Zumbro being there, go drive around that area and see the development, because it is just going crazy in that area.
Madam President, I just, really quick point of order, I'd caution we're on this topic only of the signature program. I don't want to get us too far off topic.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was mainly in regards to bringing kids into this program. It's going to be a growing, developing program. Right now we're looking at more of the littles, and very soon you're going to be into the 7th, 8th grade, and watching this program develop is going to be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from board members? Does anyone desire to make a motion at this time?
Make a motion to approve the signature program for Loretta Zumbro Elementary School to be the ZEAL program, to be Zumbro Engineering and Aerospace Learning.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Are we ready for the vote? Member Todd?
Aye.
Member Kenyon?
Aye.
Member Zimmerman?
Aye.
Member Cirincione?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that passed 5-0. And the new signature program at Loretta Zumbro is ZEAL.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 6.3, discussion approval for issuance of all staff contracts, work agreements for FY 26-27. Ms. May.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, administration recommends the board table this item to be brought back on Thursday for the March 5th governing board meeting. Additionally, administration requests direction on which employee groups you would like to have brought back on Thursday for approval. For example, do you want all employee groups or only certificated staff? But the recommendation is that we table this until Thursday.
Okay, thank you, Ms. May. Questions or comments from board members?
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes, please go ahead.
So I appreciate that, because I have some concerns with one, since the board has not done the budget, I don't think it would be fiscally responsible of us to issue all the contracts without knowing what the cuts we're going to have to make, and knowing that those big positions weren't encumbered, I think that that number is only going to increase, unfortunately. And I also think there are some things that need to be looked at in terms of who's actually listed and people's pays, and make sure that we are following the salary schedule and all of those things. So I think there needs to be a deep, a little bit deeper dive here to make sure these are accurate. I think for me, it's easier to say what I'm not ready to approve, I guess. Permanent guest teachers would be one. It's called ETC, and I don't know what that stands for, to be honest with you, but from what it looks like they were people that were subs all year. I don't want to offer them a contract. I want to post the position and hope that we can get a certified person. Plus, I'm not even sure how we offer them a contract, because if they are just this year, they'd be on a non-continuing, which would mean they're a non-renewal automatically. Not necessarily has anything to do with them. That's just the type of contract they signed. Counselors, I just think we need some clarification is, are the counselors that are grant funded, are they going to be grant funded again? Like, are we getting the grant? Because if we're not, then that's adding an FTE. So then again, that's a budget consideration. I just wanted to clarify, Dr. Sloat, Miss Williams, if you remember, did we move his halftime into M&O last year?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So that's already accounted for. I would just clarify that the assistant superintendent, the title says assistant superintendent of support services, but that's an old title. The position is called assistant superintendent of human resources and student services. That's just like a clerical, that has nothing to do. Those are the initial ones that stick out for me personally as to some concerns I have with approving those. So.
Any other comments?
Madam President, I would agree that we need to hold this till we have a better idea of the budget. The worst possible thing to do is to issue contracts. People stay here, they stop looking for jobs elsewhere, and then we find out we have budget problems. I think, as I said for many times, the budget needs to be long clarified before we start issuing contracts. And we need to have an understanding of what we're doing with our staffing model. So I'm all in favor of tabling this. I think that's going to require a special work session, probably a rather long one for the board to get through the budget and have a better understanding of it. But I would be in favor of tabling the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're in agreement to table the whole thing for this evening. I think the one question we did have was whether on Thursday we should bring back, I know discussion that has happened a little bit was teachers and principals, to be able to make sure we get those out on time and get those contracts in place. Our schools cannot run without our teachers and our principals. Not that they can run well without all the rest of the staff, but those are the two positions that, we have to have in place. So my feeling would be to table everything for today, but bring back teachers and principals on Thursday. Sorry, we're meeting like every day this week on Thursday. So that at least we know that we have that in place, and the other ones will come as we have a budget meeting. That's my feeling right now, unless there's serious disagreement with that.
Madam President,
Yes, please go ahead.
Ms. May, how quick do we need to get these out? Obviously, the sooner we get them out, the better for staff. I understand what Madam President's saying. However, just picking and choosing a couple and not the rest is kind of heartbreaking. So do you have a preference?
Member Kenyon, Madam President, members of the board. So to meet the deadline of the March 15th, and it would be March 16th for us for teachers on Monday, we really do want to get the certificated teachers, employees, to include certificated administration. We could bring that back easily on Thursday. We've already been doing the work today to vet what's on the list. So that I'm very comfortable with. And then as you decide, we can bring the others back at a later time.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes, please.
you know, the board was in a similar position last year, and we offered principals and teachers early. And, you know, to Mr. Kenyon's point, it did cause a lot of heartache. I feel like we had a lot of concerned people, particularly reading interventionists and instructional coaches. And I think if we don't approve those people this week, you know, we could lose some of those. You know, I think we really scaled down our reading interventionists already last year. I want to say we cut 2.5 positions if the rest of the board remembers off the top of their head. And I hear what you're saying, Mr. Kenyon, but I also think we have to make decisions, you know, one, to keep, you know, highly skilled positions. Like other people that I would be in favor of are psychologists, because we don't have that many and they're hard, you know, and anytime you contract, it's more expensive. And same thing with related services, OT, speech, PT, all of those things. But I agree that, you know, it's difficult without the budget, and why, you know, like Mr. Todd, I have also been, you know, strongly asking for the board to work on the budget, because it's hard to do anything else. But for sure, we cannot run a school without teachers and principals. And I certainly want to meet that March 15th deadline for teachers, because every other district in the state is offering their contracts, and teachers can certainly go look elsewhere. So,
Madam President,
Go ahead.
I definitely was not saying to just hold them all off. Yes, we do need the teachers and principals, and I'm in favor of getting this out to them as soon as possible. But as Member Zimmerman said last time we did this, there was some feedback that it wasn't well received, that we basically would just approve a couple and not the rest. So I encourage us to do our due diligence as much as possible. And then we got to balance. We all know it's a lot of work to go through the budget and do the budget, and that takes sometimes months. And so we can't hold off on these for months. So we really need to get on this very quickly. So with that, I guess I would make a motion to table all of these until Thursday, except for, or excuse me, table all of these until a later date, except for, can I remove the except for? Table these till a later date, and bring back teacher and principal on our Thursday board meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we have a motion and a second to table everything and bring back teachers and principals on Thursday evening when we're meeting again? And we have a motion and second. Sorry, I already said that. So we can take a vote.
Can we have discussion again?
Yes.
Okay. So last year when we did this, we offered our reading interventionists and our instructional coaches a teaching contract, meaning we want you, we're going to we'll have a position, and then we like revised it when we did the budget, and we were able, because they're on a different a salary schedule, as we'll see in the next agenda item. So again, I just don't want people to feel, I don't know what the right word is, not wanted, I guess is the word, and at least feel like they have something. So I don't know, but I'm just sharing what we did last year to try to bridge that gap a little bit. I'm not saying it was the best idea, but it's something as we work through the budget.
Madam President, members of the board, so if we just wanted to do certificated employees, that would include reading interventionists, instructional coaches, psychologists, related services. So that would be inclusive of the certificated employees to include administration.
I would be okay with that, personally.
Okay. Currently, we have the motion to table and the direction then to bring back teachers and principals on Thursday.
Madam President,
Yes.
with that motion, just so everybody knows, that doesn't mean that the other ones can't be brought back
Okay,
on
there
Thursday.
you go. Thank you. Yep.
It just means that we're going to bring back teachers and principals.
Yep.
So that would be up to you, Madam President, and working with
Thank you.
with Ms. May. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Kenyon. Yep. Thank you for the clarification. So we have a motion and a second, and I think we can take a vote. Board Member Todd?
Aye.
Member Kenyon?
Aye.
Member Zimmerman?
Aye.
Vice President Cirincione?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that passed 5-0. And moving on to item 6.4, discussion approval of all staff hiring schedules for FY 26-27. I don't know from admin if anybody wants to speak on this or if there are questions from the board.
Madam President, members of the board, I can just give you just a quick statement, but this is, as presented, the salary schedules reflect current year funding and budget assumptions. If the board approves a compensation increase beyond what is shown, administration will return with revised schedules and process the necessary contract addendums to align with the board's direction.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. I had a couple things. So, as we discussed last year when we didn't give raises, we moved the 0 line from the previous year down to 1 and then created a new 0 line. That was a little, you don't,
believe so. We didn't do anything last year. Nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. We did not move anything or do any adjustments at all last year.
well, because there was this whole discussion about how if you don't move the 0 line down, then you have somebody who's worked for the district for 1 year.
Correct.
And then you hire someone and then they're making the same amount of money as somebody who worked for the district for a year.
And that is why we were doing that adjustment this year when I showed the presentation at the last meeting of moving people 2 times. So if they would have moved for the year we're in now and then for next year, because we did not do any of those adjustments last year at all.
Right. Well, we don't move teachers on steps. So, but on the certified schedule, I'd have to go back and listen to that meeting, but I'm pretty sure we adjusted it because we said we can't have people that have worked for the district for a year make the same amount as somebody who's brand new coming into the district. So I'd have to go back and listen to that meeting. But again, what my main concern is the optics of kind of approving this now without doing the budget is that I don't want teachers or staff to think the board is not going to discuss raises because this would be 2 years in a row. Because we didn't approve these till April 15th last year. So, you know, we issued contracts without approving a new salary schedule. But also, my concern is there are a lot of stipends that are listed on these salary schedules that I really, really, really think the board needs to look at. And I know other board members have asked, and I feel like that really needs to be part of the budget process. And I'm just going to use one from the certified, or two from the certified schedule is the gifted teacher, $9,000. It's more than any other stipend. And, you know, I just feel like you cannot compare that to a self-contained special education classroom. It's just not the same. And I'm just not in agreement with it. But I was also curious, it says math specialist, $1,000. How do you qualify who is a math specialist? How does somebody earn that stipend?
Do you know? I have a little bit of information on that. They would be certified, highly qualified in mathematics. Their Arizona Department of Education certificate would list that they have that endorsement.
Okay, so
and they would be teaching in a math class. I believe it'd be middle school. It would be a departmentalized math course that they'd be teaching in what they are highly qualified to teach. So math, science would also be something that would be similar.
Okay, so they're getting a middle school math stipend for $1,500, then also getting a stipend for being certified in math. I'm just clarifying. And then they're also getting the middle school stipend.
Correct.
Okay.
Some teachers have up to 4 and 5 stipends.
Okay. And I'm not saying, to take any of those necessarily away. I just really think the board needs to have a stipend discussion. And when we attach them to the salary schedules, I'm personally not comfortable approving them at this point without having that discussion around stipends in the budget.
The stipend topic is set for our next meeting where we're having the budget top meeting. Sorry, that was a lot of words of meeting, but the work study session, thank you, on the 30th. Ms. Camerata knows what I'm trying to say better than I do. The work study session on the 30th, stipends are on the agenda for that discussion. So I just want to make that clear. It's not being ignored. It's got a date.
Thank you for that, Madam President. That's kind of what I was going to bring up as if that was, because as Board Member Zimmerman said, I had requested that and others had requested that before. And I do agree. It's important that we digest these stipends. We have a lot of stipends in our district, and I understand why they were put into place. It's just whether we want to continue with how they are, how many we have, what their values are. I don't want to just pick one out because that's not what we can do that on that meeting. But I think that's very valuable to have before we go ahead and approve these.
Any other comments or questions right now? Or a motion if anyone has one?
I make a motion to table 6.4.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table 6.4. Board Member Todd?
Aye.
Member Kenyon?
Aye.
Member Zimmerman?
Aye.
Member Cirincione?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that passed 5-0. Moving on to item 7.1, board comments or agenda topic requests. I will just say again, just for clarity, that the stipend discussion is on the schedule, has not been ignored. We're getting there. So that will be coming up soon. And then Mr. Todd has requested to reconsider the teacher contracts on Thursday.
Just modify that to be all the contracts, because if we're going to modify the teacher contract, we'd modify all of them to something different than a flat rate. To make them all equal. That was the reason to table the discussion tonight, so we could have the full discussion on Thursday and get all the contracts synced together.
Ms. Camerata has that down. Any other board comments or agenda topic requests?
Madam President,
Yep, go ahead.
I would like to request, and I think I already did, but just to make sure, I wanted to have a follow-up with the pest control machine that was brought up, and have just the board understand a little bit more about that, and also the flag football. I know I had also heard a number of people asking about that, so just get some updates on those.
Okay.
Ms. Schmidt, oh,
Go ahead.
I apologize. I'd like the district to bring the open enrollment capacity approval to the board. That's done annually, and that hasn't been done yet, which I think affects staffing. And then I'd also like the board to discuss the MAG program in general, class size, target.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yep, go ahead.
like a staff presentation on how we pay our consultants in the district. Example, who determines the rate of pay? What is that rate? How do they determine that?
Okay. Anything else? If I could request that you still remember to add them to the spreadsheet, because that is generally what we're working off of when we're setting the agenda, that would be fantastic. But thank you so much. Upcoming board meetings, we have a special board meeting tomorrow for the interviews. We also have a special board meeting on Thursday, March 5th at 6 p.m. on Thursday, March 5th. And then Monday, March 30th, we have a special board meeting and a work study session. Monday, April 13th is a regular board meeting, and Monday, April 27th is a special board meeting. So that is what we have scheduled currently. If we have nothing else, we can adjourn the meeting at 7:06 p.m.